Hi there, it's Laura here from makingcardsisfun.com and welcome to another card making video tutorial here at my YouTube channel and blog. First of all, I want to wish all of you a very happy new year. I wish you lots of happiness, love, and a good health in 2020. In today's video, I'll be creating a winter-inspired sequin shaker card featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies. I'm starting out by stamping images from the Snow Friends stamp set from Mama Elephant on some Nina Solar white cardstock using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And as you can see, I clean my stamps using a stamp chamois, and I store my stamps using one of these MakeItbyMarko 3D printed little containers. So these containers will actually keep your chamois damp for a good day and a half without it turning moldy or smelly or anything like that. So I'm coloring my images using Copic sketch markers. You can see all of the colors I use on the screen. I don't have a very tricky Copic coloring technique. I just use 3 colors. I always start out with my lightest color, then use the darkest shade to add my first layer of shading, blend that out with the mid-tone color, and finally I go in with the lightest color to blend everything together and to add some highlights. To add a little bit of shading to the snowman, I am going in with the BG10 marker, and then I'm going over that shading using the colorless blender so you don't see any harsh lines. I'm going in with the R11 marker to add a little bit of color to those noses, and then for my first cat I'm using N3, N1, and N0. I'm also using the darkest shades to add some stripes, so these look like striped cats, which are my favorite. And then for the brown cat, I am using E27, E57, and E55. Normally, I always color a red cat, but since I did that in my previous video as well, I decided to switch it up. For this little bunny, I'm using E33, E31, and E30. So there you go. Now that I colored all of my images, it's time to work on the piece that will go inside the sequin shaker. I took some masking paper and a stitched hillside border from Fawn, and I'm tracing along that die using a pencil, and then I can cut that out to create my own mask. I'm using the EK Success Cutter Bee scissors and Simon Says stamp masking paper sheets. I peeled off the backer sheet, and now I am going to use the bottom part of my mask so I can work on the sky. I'm taping down my piece of white cardstock that I cut to 4 1/4 of an inch by 5 1/2 using some washi tape. And then I am using these blending brushes from Tailored Expressions. This is a set of 10 brushes, and these come in rainbow colors. This is the first time I tried these out, and so far I really like them. I'm starting out with Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide ink on the top, and then I'm just quickly cleaning off my brush using my damp chamois so I can switch to another color later in the video. And then I also wipe down my brush on some scrap paper, by the way. On the bottom of this piece of paper, I'm using Faded Jeans, and then for the color in the center, I'm using Broken China, and then I'm just constantly switching back and forth between these colors to create a nice gradient. So this is the first time that I use these blending brushes from Tailored Expressions, and so far I really like them. I think they blend a little bit easier than the cheaper brushes that I used before. It's hard to tell. I mean, it's just the first time I use them, so I think I will be doing some sort of review or maybe a blog post on these brushes so I can share my final thoughts on them with you. So now that I finished blending, I am spraying some water on my paper just to create some splatters, and then it also kind of looks like a snowy winter background. Carefully peeling off my mask since that mask is a little bit wet, so you want to do that very carefully. And then I am actually using the top piece of my mask, and then I'm going to trace that with my pencil on a piece of Tonic Studios glue sheets, I think these are called, sticky sheets, something like that. So I'm cutting along that pencil line, and now I peeled off the backer sheets. So these are basically sheets of adhesive, and these are really great when you want to create your own glitter cardstock. I'm using my bone folder to really transfer that adhesive on my paper, so you can use your bone folder to do so. And then I am using a stitched rectangle die from Fawn to cut this piece so it's a little bit smaller and so that it has the stitched edges. I'm peeling off the masking paper, and then it's time to apply the glitter. I'm using Tonic Studio's Nuvo Sparkle Dust in the color Snow Glow. I'm just kind of pouring that on using a tiny little spoon, and then I am using one of their brushes to brush off the excess and to make sure that the glitter is stuck there and that it won't fall off. So just going over that with that brush, trying not to make a huge mess. To create my frame for my shaker cards, I'm using these inside out stitched rectangle dies from Fawn. And I'm starting out by running the smallest rectangle through my die cutting machine first. And then I'm going to line up that largest rectangle and run it through the machine again, and that will create a nice frame. I got these dies recently. These have been on my wish list for a very long time, especially because I wanted to create more sequin shakers, but I also wanted to have the stitched edges because I just really love those. I'm adhering a piece of acetate on the back of my frame to create my sequin shaker, and then I'm using this Scotch foam mounting tape. I folded that so it's nice and thick, and then I'm using my scissors to trim that down so it will be a little bit thinner or less wide, so I can create a nice and clean frame. So I'm just measuring that up, just eyeballing it, and then I am cutting off the excess that is hanging off using my scissors. It's very important to make sure that your edges of your foam tape aren't sticky, because otherwise your sequins just will get stuck. I like to prep those edges using kitchen flour, but you can also use baby powder. So after I did that, I'm going to use tiny little strips of fun foam to add some dimension to my colored images. I'm using the Tonic Studios Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive as well as the Fawn glue tube. The reason why I'm using fun foam is because I wanted to prevent my sequins from sticking to the edges, and this was just a little bit easier than using the squares and then prepping the edges with kitchen flour or baby powder. To finish off these images, I'm going in with the Spectrum Noir Clear Sparkle Pen, and then it's time for the fun part, which is filling up the sequin shaker. I'm using some sequins that I got for free with an order from Cloud9 Crafts, and then I'm also using these kind of like little snow pieces that I got at Cloud9 Crafts, so I'm linking to those in my supply list below. The other sequins I used were included for free in an order, because whenever you order something at Cloud9 Crafts, your order is wrapped beautifully, and there's always some confetti, in this case sequins, in your order, and I decided to use those. So I just closed up my frame, and now I die cut a stitched rectangle out of Spiffy Speckles pattern paper from Fawn. But on the finished cards, you'll only be seeing the outside edge. So I decided to use one of the smaller rectangles and die cut that center, so that way I don't have to waste an entire piece of pattern paper. And that may be a little bit cheap of me to do so, but my pattern paper is precious and I still wanted to use that. So I used the excess to die cut that fancy wavy banner from Fawn and to stamp my sentiment on there. And now you'll be left with this nice frame, and nobody will ever notice since you'll be adhering your sequin shaker on top. So that's just a little tip I wanted to share with you. I really like how the shaker turned out. The sequins shake really well, and I love how these colors match with the ink blended backgrounds. To finish off this card, I'm going to adhere a couple of clear sequins here and there using the long Fawn glue tube and my EK Success tweezers. So I'm just dipping my sequins into the glue, tapping off the excess, and then I can position those perfectly on my cards. And that finishes up this sequin shaker card. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and click the notification bell below. Thank you so much for stopping by. I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.